Hello chess fans, and today I'm going to show you an absolute classic of chess history, a Morphy game versus Henry Bird. And it was played in London in 1858, and this is just a real display of Morphy's creativity and ability to calculate. Let's get started with the game. Morphy was black, and his opponent was Henry Bird. Bird played e4, and Morphy played e5. Knight f3 and d6. So Morphy playing the Philidor defense. Bird played d4 and Morphy played f5. Now this variation is not actually considered good today. It's about a 2.0 advantage for white according to the engine. And you can play bishop c4 here, which is a very good move. But also I'll show you a different way that you can deal with this for white. So Bird played knight c3, Morphy took on e4. Bird took back, and Morphy played d5. Now here's where if Bird knew his theory, he could play knight takes c5. If Morphy captures this knight, then queen h5. After g6 blocking the check, knight g6, pawn takes, queen g6. Now black's got to escape to d7, queen f5, back to e8, queen e5. And you're just going to pick up this rook, and this would actually refute Morphy's opening. So back in the day, they didn't really know that. But instead, Bird played knight g3, and Morphy played pawn to e4. And now the game is roughly equal. White's slightly better, but black is doing fine. So Bird played knight e5, and Morphy played knight f6. So Morphy needed to stop queen h5 check, and so Morphy plays knight f6. And then Bird pins Morphy's knight with bishop g5. And this is the main theme of the game. Bird basically overestimates the value of this pin, and Morphy keeps developing and takes over the game. So Morphy played bishop d6. This is a very accurate move. You can imagine playing bishop e7 to stop the pin. But bishop d6 is more active. It attacks the knight on e5 and gets ready to castle. So Bird plays knight h5, and he's attacking this knight on f6. And at first sight, it looks like Morphy might be in trouble. For instance, Morphy could play, let's just say he played knight c6, then Bird could bust open Morphy's pawn structure on the king side. So that's the basic idea of what Bird is trying to do. He's trying to attack the pinned piece and bust open Morphy's king side. But Morphy just castles. And it turns out that Bird doesn't really have a good continuation here. If he were to play... So Bird plays queen d2, but if he were to play knight takes f6, Morphy can just recapture the g-pawn. And he's going to pick up two pieces for a rook. If bishop h6, and he can just take this knight. And if bishop takes f8, bishop takes f8, and Morphy's got the bishop pair. He's got two pieces for a rook. So, he's doing very well. So it turns out that even though Bird has this pressure against Morphy's pinned knight here, it's not really equating to anything. So Bird plays queen d2, and Morphy plays queen e8. So you can see he's getting on this diagonal. He's attacking this knight on h5, and he's trying to force Bird to take on f6. So for instance, if Bird were to play knight takes f6, again we have g takes f6, and Morphy's doing very well. But instead Bird plays g4, so he's just defending this knight. Morphy realizes this isn't going to work, so he sacrifices his knight on g4. And after knight takes g4, Morphy picks up the knight on h5. So now Morphy has a very good position. He's activated his queen. He's broken all the pins. He's got a very active bishop on d6. And his bishop can come into the game through f5, g4, or h3. The knight can come in through c6 or d7. So Morphy's doing well. He also has the open f-file. Bird plays back to e5, and Morphy plays knight c6, putting more pressure on this knight on e5 and trying to force him to trade on c6, in which case the b-file will open. And you can see that the king side has been completely opened, so white is not going to castle king side. So white wants to castle queen side, but then if this open b-file is there, then black will have some pressure against white's king. Bird plays bishop e2, and Morphy plays actively with queen h3. This is better than queen e8, which would be passive. So he moves his queen forward into an aggressive position. Bird captures on c6 because he couldn't deal with the pressure on e5. Morphy recaptures, opening the b file. And Bird tries to consolidate his position. He plays bishop e3, defending f2, and he wants to just cast the queenside. That's why he played bishop e2, so he could cast the queenside. So Morphy plays rook b8, and he's anticipating that white's going to cast the queenside, and he wants pressure on b2 right away. So Bird castles queenside. And here we really see the imagination and creativity of Morphy. So you can pause the video now and look for a good combination. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Okay, so if you're back, Morphy plays rook takes f2. Just a beautiful move. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe it, but then I calculated a little bit, and I did find out what Morphy's idea was. Bird captures Morphy's rook. It looks like Morphy just gave up a rook for nothing. We go ahead and look for Morphy's next move here. And it is queen a3. Beautiful move. The queen gives itself up, and if white were to capture it, then it's just a checkmate. So, beautiful find, and so you can see Morphy's creativity and his ability. Bird plays c3 to defend b2. And Morphy captures this pawn on a2. Now he's starting to check on a1 and capture this b pawn with a rook, and that would be checkmate. So Bird plays b4. He's got to defend his king. And Morphy plays a check. Bird goes up to c2. Morphy checks again. And Bird plays king b2. Morphy sacrifices his bishop and checks with a rook. Now you can see that Bird is in a mating net. If he plays king c3, then Morphy can just walk him up the board. So after rook takes b4, Bird has to give up his queen. Now I want to go back to this move back here. King b2. This is actually a blunder. And it was found after the game that Morphy could have defended, and apparently the guy that found it wasn't talked to for days because it kind of, ruined a perfect game. But it turns out that king c1 actually defends. And there's been centuries, it's over 100 years of debate about whether Morphy could still win in this position. I'll just show you my stockfish analysis. And I'll just show you this line. So we have a5, queen c2, queen a3, queen b2, pawn takes, and this is computer analysis. And I'm not trying to explain these moves, but basically white does end up defending in this position even though black is slightly better. So that may be the verdict of whether Morphy could have won or not. Against perfect defense, he couldn't have. But let's go back to the game. Bird gave up his queen because he had to defend his king. And then after king c2, Morphy played e3, opening up the diagonal for this bishop. Bird took it. Morphy played bishop f5. And Bird, desperately trying to defend, blocked with a rook. Morphy played queen c4 check. King d2. Checked on a2. King d1. And then checked on b1. And Bird actually resigned at this point because Morphy's either picking up this rook, or after bishop c1, Morphy can pick up this rook, and Morphy will have enough material and a dominating a pawn and queen versus bishop and rook, which is enough to win the game. So that was Bird versus Morphy, a hotly contested game showing Morphy's brilliance. And if you liked the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Peace out.